WE 的话，老队伍嘛，而且5个人都是磨合的非常好，然后现在康迪也回来了，所以对于我来说压力挺大的，就希望，我们在打他们之前，能把状态调整好，各种小问题可以解决了，反正希望两边给大家带来一场精彩的比赛吧。
It's time, everyone. Our game of the week. Edward Gaming versus Team WE. You just heard from Haro how excited he is to go up against Condi, one of the greatest junglers in the LPL. But first, you'll notice a new face has joined us on the desk. Indiana FLICKR and Black, how are you today?
Pretty excited. It's our match of the week, so we had to run a 3-man analyst desk. I forced my way onto it. No. WE versus EDG, I'm here.
You gotta talk about it. You gotta say your piece. And joining us once again is Clement. Welcome back. Thank you so much for sticking with me for all of these awesome games. But hey, let's get right into it. We finished our appetizers. We're done with the main course. It's time for the dessert, the apple pie, the whole whipped cream on top. This is the goods. What am I looking for in this game?
Clement?
You're looking at an apple pie right now? Okay. I'm just kidding.
That was like an extreme grocery list. No. This is the epic clash. EDG versus WE. Yes, these teams are not top of the table anymore, but this still goes all the way back to 2014. This is the origin of the betrayers. It was World Elite versus Edward Gaming. Tore the team in half and created EDG. And a lot of Chinese fans still salty about that. Less salty after their 2015 MSI victory.
Yeah, how you feeling, Clement?
And I was just laughing my ass off because Rusty said, like, if you mentioned the betrayers, I'm coming over and slapping FLICKR, because none of these players on these teams are the same people.
But that's the exact thing. It is completely different. It is a completely different legacy, but the rivalry still stands because they're still top teams fighting for that throne. And EDG, the Goliath of the league, they're still sitting on the throne, and Team WE are still trying to climb back to that old World Elite title.
Well, it might be an old rivalry, but we're seeing some new blood here. iBoy coming in for EDG at the end of the last split has put up a huge performance and completely revitalized the team, and now we're bringing in some new players as well. But this bottom lane is what we're looking at. Now, the top half of the graphic, that's iBoy versus Mystic. Bottom half, that's Meiko versus Ben.
We have to talk about how these two guys are impacting their teams. They're at the top of the damage graphs. 33% for Mystic and then 34% for iBoy. Both of those stats on the top of the league, and also the CS per minute. You can really see how these teams like to channel the gold into these two hyper carries.
Absolutely. Both these teams are hyper bottom lane focused, but very different ways. It was Team WE that revolutionized the fast push strategy, bringing in that Caitlyn back into the LPL that we've now seen creep out globally, whereas iBoy and Meiko, they're going back towards that Kog'Maw. Yes, Kog'Maw is a shared champion to them, but Meiko and iBoy are actually succeeding a lot of their pressure and their dominance in the bottom lane as of recently. And against Team WE, I don't think you can do that.
And I just want to talk about the difference between the AD carry picks, because I feel like Mystic is much more established on that Caitlyn, much more comfortable, 100% win rate. But on the other hand, EDG has yet to find success on the Kog'Maw. They're actually falling behind very far in the early game, and almost it looks like it's too passive to really keep the Kog'Maw online till the late game.
But I don't necessarily think that that's the Kog'Maw's fault. I actually think it's Haro's fault. If you pay attention to his pathing, I think it's been a massive slip up in his series against Vici. Crash pretty much outpathed him, and it was simply EDG's stronger 5v5 that allowed them to take that series 2-1.
Well, his opponent is none other than Condi, one of the greatest junglers in the entire of the LPL, so it's quite a challenge. We'll see if he's up to it, but now it's time for our casters to take the game.
Thank you so much, Dom. Raz and I are still here for this cast, coming in for the match of the week. And I do want to carry on and take that baton from you, talking about the jungle matchup, because it will be a very interesting one coming in here. Condi, of course, everyone knows Condi, but he's going up against Haro. And Haro even said earlier today when we heard him, he was talking about, I need to grow up and become a jungler like Condi one day. And Condi's like, I'm just going to smash jungle.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be very difficult for him to play into this one.
Different expectations here. Haro is really coming in. Of course, he's the green jungler here, trying to learn the ropes, kind of see what his place on EDG really is. Of course, he's seen as an aggressive jungler. We've seen his Rengar, we've seen his Lee Sins, and they're quite impressive, but he doesn't have the stats because he is messing up time and time again. Meanwhile, he's going up against Condi that has He's the best in the league in terms of the first blood ratio because he's always on the map. He's always active. Now, the only thing you could say against Condi is the fact that he hasn't been playing that much recently. It's been a little bit of melon, so he's just still finding his groove. But he's had a few sets underneath him, so I do expect him to be at full, I would say 100% in how he's doing this.
I'd say that WE are almost back to 100% right now against EDG, who is still vetting these new players. But it will be getting into Champions Select now with WE and EDG. Camille, Zoe, and Jarvan coming out from WE. On the opposite side, Galio, Kha'Zix, and looking for the final ban now from Edward Gaming.
A lot of mid lane bans. Immediately, that's what you notice. It's the Zoe. Kind of expect that to get banned, but xiye's doing so well recently off that pick. I'm surprised it's not in his hands. And then immediately, the Kassadin away from him. And then the Galio. There's a lot of respect being paid to xiye because you have to pay that respect. Mystic versus iBoy. A lot of people cheering for that one. Haro versus Condi. That matchup too is very interesting. But xiye is looking so sick this split, having the highest, of course, kill share from the team, 43%. Kill percentage, or at least his kill participation, 84%. Highest in the league. There's so much about xiye right now that really draws your glare.
In fact, you could just look up and down the roster and talk about every single matchup, because every single matchup is interesting in this one. But do look towards that first pick, Azir, out from WE, so lots of priority there on xiye. On the opposite side, the Ryze and Kalista.
Yeah, snatching it away from Scout. The pick away from him, that was Azir, that is. Azir's been a strong pick for Scout that he's gone towards time and time again. And of course, now that you've seen so much strength coming out of xiye this split, you really want to give him something that's comfortable.
Yeah, especially in their series against Vici, Edward Gaming, that was very much a contested pick with that Azir, but will be not going into the top lane for 957, so revealing both solo laners very early on into the draft.
Yeah, there's a lot of fear here when it comes to the top lane, because we don't expect 957 to be that flashy top laner. He wants to play towards the team fights. He wants to pick that, like the tankier champions. Gnar is kind of recognizing that he has to kind of combat the top side of the map. He's going to pick up Airy for himself, you have to expect, because he's going up against Ray. And Ray has picked up a lot of solo kills for himself in the split thus far. So now he just kind of has to see what he's going up against. He knows he has to blind pick anyway, so he picks up Gnar for himself.
We're going to see a Xayah pick as well for Mystic, so getting in early with the AD carry pick. And you know, Ray, I feel like this guy just needs to be unleashed at some point because they just keep giving him tanks over and over, but Ornn is always up. So they might as well just block Ornn in and give it to Ray.
They just want the pick. They're not even locking it in for Ray because, you know what? Bottom side of the map, exact. Kalista and the Ornn is still a pretty decent lane. You can just throw the big tank of Ornn right at the enemy team with the Kalista. But you're right in the sense that they have been putting a lot of tanks onto Ray. Ray's been really kind of picking up the tanks. He's been doing quite well in the laning phase for himself, always matching the pace no matter what the matchup is. And his team fighting has been really proper.
Yeah, very strong top laner. And to be honest, EDG are still just trying to get to terms with the fact that they have a top laner that has more options. I just can't hold all of these options that we have now with EDG's new roster as they look to ban away both Braum and Rakan. On the opposite side, it's going to be even more support bans from WE. Thresh comes in here.
Yeah, there we go. Xayah works so well with the Rakan pick, and it also creates pressure in the lane, the extra damage that you can output. So now it's going to be a big focus towards the supports. Big thing here is that Meiko has a larger pool to work with. A Taric is something that I'm looking towards next that I think should get picked up by EDG because the Kalista Taric matchup looks pretty good and their composition is doing quite well around team fighting. So amplify that team fight with the Taric ulti.
There's not many supports still available for them. You know, Taric, Shen is still open if you look towards those tank supports now. Tahm Kench is actually still up and available if the teams want it.
It's hilarious.
I know you're oohing and ahhing because we've seen a Xin Zhao before in the LPL, but it's not going to be the case. It will be the Lee Sin.
A little bit of a meme just because OMG was able to flex on them with the pick there. But no, it's going to be Lee Sin. You're right. Haro's Lee Sin has been picked before. Has a pretty decent win rate in the league. A lot of great Lee Sin players. Condi is one of them. So it looks like that the early game is going to be a pretty big focus for EDG. The fact that they can play around the snare of Ryze in the mid lane. And once you hit level 6, you look towards the Kalista on the bottom side of the map. So it looks like EDG wants to play a pretty fast-paced composition.
Always got to respect that one. But you were talking about the Taric, perhaps for EDG, especially alongside the Kalista and the teamfight composition that EDG are putting together for themselves. But it's actually going to be the Taric on the side of WE here, laning alongside the Xayah.
You got to wonder what EDG want to pick up for themselves because the Taric was that major tank that I was kind of looking for EDG to want to pick up for themselves, especially with Alistar and Thresh being picked away so you don't get the major strength in the bottom side of the map. I guess Tahm Kench was really just left off for so long, they might just be comfortable picking it up.
It's actually very interesting, the fact that Rakan and Thresh were banned out before a Tahm Kench was banned out. Just respect towards specifically the supports, because they are very much playmakers in their own right. You know, Anastas was talking about the bottom lane literally being first and second when you look at the AD carries. That very much extends to the supports as well.
Well, you know, Meiko's been kind of smashing Ben in terms of that kind of ratio, especially the kill participation, which is why I love the idea of Thresh. Take Thresh away from Meiko. Take Alistar away from Meiko. Meiko's been such a playmaker for his team that, you know what, sure, he has Tahm Kench for himself. The only real time he's going to be able to make anything happen is if he has Glacial Augment, honestly. There's either that or the fact that if you just throw Kalista at him. But that extra bit of playmaking and lane strength that Thresh would have provided, or maybe even Alistar, is no longer there for him.
And I wonder how much Condi is able to do in this game, because he has the Sejuani, he's playing into the Lee Sin here. He said he was going to school this opposing jungler here, the young upstart. And Haro, he's back on the aggressive jungler. Now, Haro has looked better and better as the split has gone on. And to be honest, we're only in week 3 as well. So this guy has grown tremendously over the last couple of weeks and has looked way more comfortable in his shoes on the LPL stage.
Yeah, a bit of a miracle man, I would say. Just because even though he would fall behind earlier on, bit of a on and off, not really a consistent player for his team. But if they're in a behind state, they're not really in position for Baron, he's been swiping a lot of them out of the enemy team, so you do have to go up against WE and kind of question how WE sets the game up. If they ever have a lead, and if they can rely on Azir wave clear in the mid lane to go towards get vision control of the Baron, how do they kind of push off Lee Sin in those scenarios?
It will be tough for them, but it's very much jungle focused when you look towards the early game, especially for WE stylistically. When they get those advantages early, you look towards Condi. What's he doing? Is he impacting the solo lanes? Is he impacting bot lane even? Because that is something that he's looked towards rather recently as well. When you have Mystic down there, on the opposite side, you are going to be looking towards Haro. So we will look towards the early jungle pathing. Let's look at the compositions one more time.
I want to see what Haro can do really early on. It's because, you know, going into Sejuani, sure, she has that high resistances just off of her passive, but you do want to be able to get those longer engages, and you want to be able to look towards which lane has push priority so you can look to invade with their support.
Well, as you can tell, the audience is very much filled up to its absolute capacity for a match of the week, both WE and EDG. You know, so rare in the LPL, we get both chants being so incredibly loud, but it's deafening in the arena. So many fans have turned up to see their teams play.
The real benefit, of course, it's always EDG and WE in the same damn group. Happens time and time again. For the audience, for us, it's like a treat. You don't have to see that marquee matchup when they go into cross-conference. You get to see it 2 times, the first stage of group stage, and of course right after cross-conference.
Multiple times feels really good in the LPL. Let's see them face each other today. And take a look at these keystones. In fact, only 2 inspiration first trees coming into this, and both of them from EDG here.
Now, interesting thing is that Meiko picked up the Guardian for the extra shield in lane. So it looks like the 2v2 will be the priority. And on top of that, fleet footwork for the Sejuani. So it doesn't want the extra resistances on top of the extra resistances that Sejuani gets. Just wants to be able to clear out pretty healthily.
Yeah, fleet footwork also for Mystic, as we explained in the previous game that we had today, that one of the very few AD carries that will take that one into the bottom lane. But Kalista also one of the ones that would sometimes take not Unsealed Spellbook, but has actually decided to do that in this game.
And take a look at the ping that already is being placed down by Condi. Condi doesn't want to see any bit of aggression, so not only did he get a great leash onto his red buff, but immediately moves onto his blue buff. So there's no real option if Haro was to look for an earlier invade to even catch up Condi, unless if he goes for a deeper invade into Wolf Camp, which no jungler wants to do. They're looking to their adjacent lanes.
Yeah, buff to buff, and it looks like going to Grump here as well for Condi on the opposite side. You can see Haro pretty much going for a full clear, it looks like. Going to his wolves on top of the blue buff and the Grump himself. He will be pathing towards that top side, but Crab should already be taken by Condi.
This is pretty even up. It's like the match vote, who they think is going to win this one. I mean, both of these teams have massive fan bases, so I'm not really surprised about that one.
Absolutely not, but to be honest, even if you look at the game as well, this should be a very even set. I wouldn't say there's a huge advantage to either one of these 2 teams. Yes, WE, this is the team that's been sticking together forever, best friends forever. But Condi did skip out on quite a few games in the early stages of the split. Of course, Melon was subbing in. EDG, still getting used to Haro, to Ray, how that's working together. They still have the veteran shot calling of Meiko, but it still takes a while to vet these players. Plus, iBoy's only been here for a split and a half.
Yeah, not a lot of people want to call him a rookie just because obviously he played at Worlds, he played a little bit in the summer split. But you're right, no matter how confident he is, there's not a lot of time that he's had on the stage.
Yeah, especially for the flagship team that is EDG. See, top lane pushing in here for 957, but should be resolving this minion wave. See also the stats as well. Once again, for the AD carries, pretty much first, second, third for every single stat.
Yeah, honestly, perfection in the bottom side of the map. World-class AD carries right in front of you. iBoy and Mystic output so much damage in team fights, and Mystic honestly hasn't even been getting a lot of the kills. So the fact that he's able to output so much damage while a lot of the resources have been in xiye's pocket, especially when Melon was on the team, really showcases how strong he is with so little in terms of the resources.
CS differential is the only one I was looking towards that was really major. 15 CS differential at 10 there from WE versus 10, but that's still first versus third. Like, that's still massively different compared to the rest of the league in terms of the AD carries, because these guys really are the ones who are getting ahead in the bottom side of the map, just through the laning phase alone. I'm just looking at this top lane. Pretty much going to even itself out. Gnar should have the slight advantage here into Ornn, but it will eventually just even on up.
Yeah, he just has to wait for the mini Gnar to come back up just so he can safely push out the wave. Going melee up against an Ornn, one champion definitely has higher base damage than you think. Want to get away from that man.
Yeah, Ray has managed to stabilize pretty much every matchup he's been in, though. Even when he's playing the tanks, he's somehow able to get kill pressure on his opponent. Multiple times we've seen that, especially when he's been playing the Cho'Gath.
Ooh, but this is really good timing. Even though Ornn has used up a lot of mana for the trades, it's worthwhile if Lee Sin's going to come in for this gank.
Oh, he's just being spotted out by that Scryer's Bloom there from Condi, so Haro will have to take a trip back. He was looking at the potential gank there onto 957.
That was a smart pathing from Condi, because what EDG were about to do, the extra trade on top of 957 just so he's right for the gank, should have worked. But now that Haro is batted away, now he has to go back to his base. Ray's back in a pretty poor position, because he doesn't have much mana to his name because of the earlier trade, because he was looking for that setup. Now he's basically going up against a manaless champion. Gnar should be at a pretty decent position.
Until he can get some more gold, craft some more mana items for himself in that top lane. But Condi and Haro, for sure, we said we are going to take a look at the jungle pathing, and so far they've just kind of been matching each other. Condi able to mitigate and negate that gank in top side. Now he's just going back to full clearing his jungle.
Yeah, Haro really is pressure on him to make the first kind of play on the map. He hasn't had the best first blood rate, trying to look for an opportunity in this game. Right now he's currently just trying to search out for Sejuani, sees nothing. Oh
whoa,
my god!
iBoy, he's getting aggressive in the bot lane. That's just going to kill him. Ignite coming down, first blood to the 2v2.
I cannot believe it. Really don't understand the thought process behind that with iBoy, but I mean, gets stunned out, immediately dies.
You saw the trail end of that. Did not expect him to die. Still had flash. Meiko, I assume, didn't have Devour there. Had his own flash, but it was just a lot of burst, a lot of damage coming in from WE. Able to find that kill there.
Yeah, really surprising. Didn't catch that one out. We saw that one time when it was in Demacia Cup. He died just because he was trying to stop a base timing from happening. Just that one opportunity. WE found it.
Very rare miss-up, though. I think that's probably the first time this split I've seen a blunder like that from iBoy, in the laning phase especially. So we'll see how that snowballs in the bottom lane now. WE getting that initial kill means a BF sword instantly now from Mystic.
This is a wave for that. That's kind of what's upsetting here, is the fact that iBoy was doing quite well for himself in the lane. Getting himself a CS advantage. Losing that wave means that it's good. Evens out for Mystic.
Yeah, it's actually turned into an extra longsword, is what it turned out into in the end for Mystic there as he goes for his first back of the game. Haro transferring over this blue buff over to Scout. Be able to get this one. And xiye should be able to do the same shortly on his side of the map. Though, right now I'm looking towards Ben, who is taking this time just to roam up the bottom of the river, trying to get some aggressive wards down.
Yeah, he should be able to place those wards, because xiye should be the first point of contact in how a lot of these plays are started. Getting the ward down on xiye protects him from any aggression that Haro's looking. Really good trade here by Scout. Able to do that with a blue buff, honestly. So that's kind of like, right now, if Haro wants to look mid, kind of use Ryze for a lot of the plays that he's making, then he needs to take the first step in terms of clearing out the ward so it's not so much seen by the rest of WE.
Condi actually just recalling in the wings here, waiting just in case xiye looks for the play. Lands the Emperor's Divide right into the knockback, getting ready because he only has to appear in one place, and it's followed up front by Condi. Telegraph play and seeing it punished in the mid lane.
1 point in your ulti, pretty short range, so they know that they at least have to see him and where he's ending up. Really smart from Condi just to hold on to his ulti just until they notice where Scout's going to go.
Absolutely perfect. That is how you punish that combination out from Ryze, because We see him escape so many times, but when he's that far pushed up in lane, especially from the combo out from xiye, that is something he cannot escape from. We'll see that one more time.
What happens when you start to get used to the meta, get used to essentially Ryze's shenanigans, use absolutely nothing and wait for him to make the first step, and then follow through. Really well done for both xiye and Condi to just kind of layer down the CC and know when he's going to show up.
Yeah, pixel perfect out from Condi. Good stuff. Meanwhile, on the bottom lane, we can see them again pushing up, but no real CS differential has opened up past that first blood that we saw. It's just WE making these small advantages cross-map now.
Yeah,
It's gradually pulling ahead of EDG.
Initially, I was looking mid lane just to see if Haro can get anything, but he is even seen here off that ward.
He wants to try, but this is being read by Condi. He's going to arrive, and now Scott's taking a bunch of damage from this. TP interrupted in the top side.
That was crucial. 957 was showing up with Gnar in that point. So he had to use it to trade back against Ray, but 957 100% would have turned the tide of battle in the mid lane.
Ray always on top of this top lane, able to control the matchup regardless of what it is. As we said earlier, even when he's in a losing matchup, he's able to be impactful.
Yeah, it was pretty crucial there because he didn't have TP himself. TP to lane, that means he needs to track 957 and found that opportunity to do so.
957 will get some time though to eat that honey fruit, go back up to the top lane now before he goes for his next back. He's working his way towards that black cleaver. Though Ray, recognizing this matchup is a little bit difficult, has gone for those ninja tabbies, able to get the extra movement speed so he can close the gap against 957 here.
Still, at the end of the day, a lot of the pressure that EDG are trying to levy mid lane is not working out. As Condi set up some really good wards along with xiye to catch out Haro coming through, and of course the initial gank that was levied towards mid lane is kind of making it difficult for Scout.
I can see a play being set up on the bot side though. Scout is getting ready with this round warp. They will be arriving momentarily, and the play has begun. Haro coming in from the backside as well, trying to buy some time, using the Taric ultimate, but they do get the stacks up, looking for this grey health coming out from Meiko. He gets spat back, actually by the Fate's Call, and so much damage go down to Mystic. He was able to buy time, but not enough for xiye and Condi to come in here, looking for the Emperor's Divide. Flash away from by iBoy, but Meiko's going to get caught up in it. Scout looking to return kill now, a 1-for-1 trade, a 2-for-1 overall.
Overall, great from EDG. They saw that small window. They knew that xiye was getting blue buff, so they all went towards the bottom lane. And it didn't matter how much disengage you had if you're Mystic and Ben. So much expended to kind of get away from that gank. It was long enough to be able to net the kill, and they backed away.
Yeah, it was the attempt there by Condi and xiye to come into that play, but it was just a little bit too late, buying a lot of time, but unfortunately not long enough for Mystic and Ben.
xiye thought he could catch a little bit more than just the Tahm Kench. He thought he could get iBoy as well. Let's take a look at way back when this started. And Azir and Sejuani had to make the long trek, walking 500 miles from blue buff to the bottom lane. And sure, this is a great job from WE to kind of save their lives for a little bit longer, but it's an even better job from EDG to kind of know who's taking tower shots and back away from that. Take a look at this. Instant flash by Kalista. Thought they were going to be able to get the AD carry. Not at all. So even though they take down Tahm Kench, Azir dies for his troubles as well.
Yeah, really good stuff. The kind of the buddy system coming out from iBoy and Meiko. If one's low, the other one just eats them up, either with the W, the Devour coming from Meiko, or the Fate's Call out from iBoy, which is what happened in that play. So no matter who really tanks, they're able to manage to get out of that one. As you can see, in effect, Meiko just eating up iBoy.
Just 11 minutes into the game, and look at how much damage this tower has taken. EDG has such a great teams in terms of just levying the bottom lane strength and using it to take down towers as fast as possible. WE are forced to try and defend this.
Yeah, both junglers turning up. Scout is also looking for another play right here. Haro joins the fight. Scout hasn't revealed himself just yet, but I believe he was seen on a ward, so we'll back away now. Looks like they are looking to prioritize this dragon now.
Yeah, EDG are going to have to, they're not going to have access to that play for a little bit because xiye is back into the mid lane and has access to the wave. So it's really good from xiye to know that his team is just fine in the bottom side of the map and that he can just push the lane and force Scout back.
Yeah, he'll just go back into his side of the map. It's actually blue buff's going over right now, so no priority onto the dragon just yet from the two teams. 12 minutes into this one, but it is currently control over the area by EDG in terms of those wards.
This is what happens when you have two of the best teams going up against each other. Sure, the dragon's just sitting there in between both of them, but they know that they can't be the ones that start it. Honestly, dragon is the end to the play rather than beginning of the play. We saw in the previous set where Pepper went for the dragon first, and then the TPs start raining through. You lose the fight because of these opportunities you think you see. So none of them want to start dragon just yet. Does too much damage.
Yeah, until it's a sure play. Though Mountain Dragon of all the dragons does do the least. That is a small godsend for them. Though Meiko and iBoy sitting in this bush, just seeing if Mystic maybe puts a step too far forwards. Oh, Meiko's shown himself.
Sad face. Wait a minute.
But Mystic's still stepping up right here.
I don't think he saw him.
Maybe he didn't see him. It looked like to us on the Observer client that it looked like he'd shown himself, but in the end, not fully punished out there. Mystic just knows that they're now.
Yeah, that's the thing about Fog of War. Enough vision control here on the side of WE, so they didn't know where Ben was. They didn't know where Condi was. They're going to know quite soon since they're walking towards the lane.
I'm looking towards Condi, who is waiting in the wing, seeing if he can find a gank to happen onto iBoy and Meiko. Haro also around the area.
So much pivoting on both sides to just get that simple control in the triangle bush. That's all WE want, so they have full control of this red side jungle, and EDG are trying their best to contest it.
I will say so far into the game, props to Haro. He has managed to keep pace with Condi so far.
He's
They're finding each other. Meiko getting caught out, though. Here's the Tahm Kench on the primary target that WE really want to find. They really want to get the damage onto iBoy. They do need to kill Meiko first. Scout just turning into this mid lane, gets the full combo down onto xiye.
And that's super meaningful. Scout is in dive range. He wants to look for this alone.
He's going for it. Shifting sands very nicely back into mid lane, but he's now pushed xiye out of lane.
Yeah. And now what does this mean? This bottom lane is definitely going to go down. Sure, WE can defend it from this one wave, but Ryze can now join him. He has his ulti available to him. So once he pushes out this mid wave, it's on EDG to take the first punch. Who are they going to go for? Oh, in fact, WE.
Now, EDG is actually going to push this mid lane here. Haro was hovering around the bot side of the map, but WE are going to keep Condi in the bottom side, protecting this tower and just kind of wasting some time here for EDG. xiye just came back to lane, and Scout's already chunked him down. He's back to the same spot he was a couple seconds ago, and EDG are now pushing into the mid.
I just love the audible that was created by EDG. They could have went towards the bottom lane, but they in fact went towards mid lane. They want this fight.
This is very deep out from EDG, but iBoy, he's looking for the shot right here. Meiko's going to follow up down onto Mystic, and he is so far away from his team now. Trapped in place. He's going to fall. Condi and Ben, they're backing away. Bot tower will surely go down to EDG now.
Completely cut them away from their own jungle. So far, EDG are playing so well around Haro's pressure, went mid lane, chipped down the turret, and it was all because Scout was doing well in lane. Now we're going to go into this pause, but it gives us a little bit of time to actually talk about what we just saw. So let's talk about that mid lane for me, because mid lane for me was really sick coming out of Scout. Scout was able to just chunk him out twice. Twice. We were speaking of xiye for so long, but he was able to push back to base 2 times with the, I guess, help of Haro a little later on.
Not the first time, though. The first time, it was just all the pressure coming out from Scout, able to push him back to base. He comes back in, go back to base again, and like pressure on both towers, mid and bottom. And it's not like Condi could help. He was trapped tri-laning with his bottom lane.
Yeah, and it's just a stark difference between Series 2 and Series 3. That one mistake, one laning error from xiye turned into a losing mid lane matchup. Turns into immediate bottom lane pressure. It was smart from WE to recognize that Haro was mid lanes, so they just tried for a bottom lane fight, a 3v2 skirmish to push them back so they don't go 2 towers for the same time. Because you know what? Sejuani goes mid, they still lose a lot of chip damage on the turret, and they have freedom to kind of back away from the play, and then immediately EDG will look for the bottom lane tower, and they'll 100% be able to take that. So they thought they can have, at least from that one bad situation, 2 towers that are still alive, and they can defend in the next play.
It is cool to watch EDG go up against a team like WE who are... They're a slower team, but not in the way like Vici play. They still look for those advantages in the early game, but they try to scale up. When you look for them to be active is around that mid game. But EDG, they have to adapt to this type of play, and we've seen them play multiple different styles now.
Yeah, and you know what? God bless Tahm Kench, because that sped it up. The fact that they were trying to fight so hard around that control ward, and they're like, just throw Tahm Kench in there. Kalista will have the damage to whoever shows up, because she's going to be able to be right behind Tahm Kench in the safety if they just try to pick her off. So honestly, they were okay with the vision disadvantages that they had to be able to face check a bush. So comes down to the minor details. Second to second, EDG were forceful about taking that control of that one bush, and it's honestly, you're right. Seems like slow play. Not a lot of fights has happened, but it's fast enough to be alarming for WE.
But there's so much happening on the map, even though it looks slow and we've had like, what, 6 kills, there's so much happening that leads up to these plays, and that's what's been interesting to watch. How is Haro moving around the map? How is he setting up these plays? Because they're multi-step processes.
Yeah.
And he's having to do this against Condi, who he knows is a much more storied jungler than him, so he's going to have to play into this. But so far, as you said, not only has the team played well around Haro's pressure, but Haro's played well around his team as well.
It just feels like it's a set of perfection here because they recognize the ramifications of losing that bottom lane tower. Even though Haro as an individual has not had the best season, or at least the best split, the team is still there. The shot calling is still there and working for the Meiko. The bottom lane is still incredibly strong. So losing that one tower means so much when you go up against EDG, and they're not willing to give that up.
We'll actually see after this pause as well how much actually gets taken away from that play, because it could actually just be mid lane and bot lane from that if they go towards the mid lane. Looks like that one's going to crumble shortly if they move that pressure down to bot lane, because Condi, as we said, is just in that lane tri-laning right now.
And here's just talk about like the domino effect of that too, because they lose 2 outer turrets on the bottom side of the map really early on. We're talking about the Earth Dragon that was up. That's the reward you get from that, right? You take 2 dragons, you push into the red side jungle, you place deeper control wards, and no way WE even thinks about touching the Earth Dragon. You give it away. And then maybe the RNG works well for EDG. Maybe the next one's Infernal or Earth or just anything. EDG start stacking dragons. That's why it's so difficult to play up against top-tier teams, because one mistake really snowballs.
Really about that domino effect. Just as an update, guys, we are investigating currently, the referees, not us specifically, a possible game bug. So this could take a little bit of time while they do that investigation. But we will try and keep you appraised of the situation as it unfolds.
I don't, you know, that he's just saying that, but I'm Detective Raz. I got my magnifying glass on this case.
Oh, it's all me. Yeah, absolutely. I've just got my own game client here. Just kidding. We're getting back into game. So it was all resolved. No worries, guys. We're back into this one. So I always like to put people's hopes lower. So when we get into game, then everyone's just like, oh, no. They promised me we were going to come back into game immediately.
Yeah, you're really blue balling me. I'll tell you right now. And you know what? At the very least, we paused out that explosion, too. Pretty good sight.
So now we know
here.
what happened.
Yeah, so they lose bottom lane turret. And so immediately, just from that case, if you lose bot lane turret, I don't know what WE has to play like a turtle from this point forward. Not because, you know, oh, everybody talking about WE as a turtling team last split, just because it's out of necessity as a composition. They have still pretty good, like, Sejuani ulti and Taric ulti that can allow them to kind of remain under these turrets pretty safely, and it's on EDG to crack that open. But it seems like that's the case for WE currently.
Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit more, because I feel like it has become almost a meme at this point that, like, it's the turtle team, it's WE, but they definitely have played differently from that. Not even just with Melon, because we started to see xiye come out of his shell. The fact that a guy was literally carrying games by himself, something we haven't really seen before. Usually it's Condi driving the early game, but when Condi wasn't there, xiye was stepping up. Yeah,
xiye's been such a baller so far this split, honestly. I feel like when Melon came in, it kind of reminded me of Xiaohu last spring split, quite honestly, because when Xiaohu was kind of sporting, didn't have MLXG at that time, didn't have, so even the AD carry Uzi that time, because they were bringing in Yihan a lot of the times, and we were and Bebe as well, and we were questioning, well, what does he do? Because maybe the jungle mid lane synergy is not there anymore. Like, from what we saw, it could have been a bit of both, maybe more of MLXG, but Xiaohu really came out of his shell, and I think we're seeing the exact same thing here with xiye. That he was kind of, it feels like, demanding pressure from Melon, and we saw a lot of great kills, great dives. That's why I was surprised we didn't get to see Zoe this game. It was banned, of course, in game 1. But it didn't matter what pick you get for your xiye. Looks like he was just having a stellar performance this split.
Yeah. Apart from this game, because he has been pressured out by Scout. It's only when you go up against another mid laner who can match him. And when you go into the LPL, there are just so many good mid laners. In fact, you can say that about a lot of the champion pools, or rather the player pools. It's just a lot of good players when you just take a look at mechanics alone. Of course, that obviously means that, like, you have to look at how the team communicates together, how the rest of the map goes, like what's their macro like. But just on a very fundamental level, there's just a lot of good players in the LPL.
And if you have that much talent essentially oozing out of these rosters, then a lot of the focus really does come down to the communication. And we've heard a lot of talks of communication when it comes to both teams. EDG really discussing communication, sure, because a lot of it comes down to, well, who's the shot caller? I know Meiko is 100% the shot caller, but they had a few heads in there as well with Clear Love. Now they need to kind of round that out. Not having Mouse as well, Mouse on Rogue Warriors, means that they need to have more voices to kind of make up for the new faces.
Yeah.
Look to WE, they still have the same squad, right? I mean, sure, Condi wasn't there for a little bit, but now that he's back, seems like their discussion on communication is right back on track.
It is, and I look towards EDG. You mentioned Ray in the top lane as well, and they've used him a couple times in terms of carries. Like, I know we were talking a lot about his like rumble play. We know he can play it, but it's very few times in which we actually see them utilize Ray on a carry. So many times he's put towards the tank picks just because they're left open. It would be crazy to leave something open like an Ornn.
Just know that EDG have been a team fighting team for a long time, and especially going into the LPL, we haven't seen a lot of success out of these split pushing teams here. Now that's an option that they can go back towards, sure, but currently Ray can play this well on team fighters. You put him on team fighters. It feels like it reminds me of when IG were able to get Duke immediately from Korea, and of course immediately who did they put him on? Maokai, right? And he was able to do so well on the Maokai pick, able to kind of get these incredible engages for his team and then nest them strong team fighting. You want to immediately into Spring Split massively change your identity as a squad. So he can play his Rumbles, and he has, and his Rumbles have been incredible as well. But now that he's back on the Ornn, he's showcasing that his laning phase is doing quite well, and that his team fights have been on proper as well. So it's a comfortable point and place for EDG to be in.
It's definitely comfortable because no matter what matchup he's in, he'll do okay, he'll get to those team fights, and then he'll shine. And the fact that he's still able to get kill pressure in those lanes, like the furthest we've really seen from him is like put into a Cho'Gath, into like a Vlad matchup, that type of thing. But even then we've seen him kill pressure in those lanes, so he's able to push them to the limits, which is actually really cool to see.
And what I'm impressed to see when it comes to EDG is that a lot of times you'd be a little bit worried when it's the jungle top lane synergy. I know FPX, the earlier set that we got to see, we were talking about Pepper and Gimgoon quite a bit in terms of like what was their synergy like, how are they playing together, because there were a lot of failures there. I expected a little bit of, not so much failure, but some room to work with when it comes to EDG's top lane jungle. But it looks like from especially first 10 minutes, it's been looking quite well.
I mean, with the two quote-unquote rookies, I mean, Ray is not quite a rookie anymore, but with the two new members at least joining EDG, you would expect for sure for there to be some teething problems, but they've integrated very well. I'd say Ray integrated much faster than Haro, but Haro over the last couple sets especially has gotten better and better. And when we look at both WE and EDG holistically, like, yes, they haven't been as dominant as we maybe would expect from both a WE and an EDG so far in the split. They're still near to the top of the table, and the fact that there are multiple reasons why we can say that they haven't quite gotten there yet. Like, we can still see the potential, and I can guarantee, but by the end of the split, they're going to be at the top anyways.
There's a few reasons for that. I think one of the strongest one is the extra competition that is in this region now, especially in the Western Conference that EDG have unluckily kind of put themselves in. So yeah, you have to go up against WE now. Good luck. You have to go up against OMG now. Good luck. Snake, who are apparently just on the ball.
Apparently they're good now, yeah.
Good luck. So EDG, immediately beginning the spring split after that break, have to go right back into the cage. So this is tough for them, and they're able to thrive off that, and I think that's great, especially kind of working with their team, or at least their new roster. It's a definite plus, and it's only going to get better.
I do have an update for you guys. So there was a bug. In fact, Lee Sin flew into the orbit.
Ooh!
He's gone. He's not on the map anymore. So it's a slight problem when you have a champion anymore. So we are going to be chrono breaking back to 15 minutes and 18 seconds.
Does that mean we get to have a Lee Sin astronaut skin? I mean, we already have Astronaut Nautilus, and we have Astronaut Teemo. That's a pretty good line
He's
of skins.
too far. We can't see him anymore. He's in space.
He'll come back.
Yeah. He can't see, he can't breathe. It's an unfortunate day for Lee Sin. But apparently he queues and he just disappeared.
Does that mean when we come back in a chrono break, he'd already have a death because he's already been sent into space without the actual proper outfit? Yes. That's the answer to that.
Yes, I mean, that would be the problem if we didn't chrono break, because we have the wonders of chrono break to bring us back to that time. So that's what we're basically waiting on right now, is to implement said chrono break and get us back into game. So players right now have to sit here, think about what they want to do in the next sequence of plays.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy for EDG. And this is a kind of a good thing about, for at least both of these teams. It feels like a bit of a timeout, right? Sure, you can't discuss with each other, but you can at least think about your current position.
You can internalize.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're EDG, thinking about what the next kind of play, for me, immediately go back towards mid lane, set up for it, go towards Dragon. It's a little bit harder for WE. Right? They don't have that many options. In fact, their only option is to look towards the next one because they have to concede the Dragon and have to think about the mid lane play. Maybe they can defend mid lane. Maybe that's a possibility. Maybe they have to send Sejuani mid with her ulti, and hopefully they have to force a fight just to push EDG off tower. That's a lot of stuff that they want to be talking to each other about. They're going to have to wait until they actually get into the game to do that.
I do doubt whether WE are going to be able to save the bot tower, though, because we just saw it go down when we went back into game.
Yeah.
The current time was 15:34. So it's about 20 seconds or so, or just below that. So tower's definitely going to die regardless in the bottom side. It's just whether they can defend mid now.
Yeah, especially since we already saw that play mounting towards the bottom side of the map when Lee Sin was already there with the Ryze, getting that kickoff. I already love that coming in from EDG. So the kills were already being levied. So that bot lane tower is dead, without a doubt.
Yeah, so for WE, just thinking about how they can mount this defense, because Xiye still needs to think about going back to base. I know he just walked into lane, lost half his health again, and then there's also a Lee Sin. Well, currently he's in space, but there will be a Lee Sin when we go back into game.
It's the difficulties of playing Xayah when you're behind, by the way, is that when you don't have static Shiv, what can you actually do for your team? You're too short range in terms of AD carry. You walk up, there's a lot of threat from Lee Sin to kick you into your enemy team. So a lot of it is just waiting. And I mean, Mystic has kind of been in this position before where he's able to just kind of internalize that, realize that he needs to accrue wave after wave. And WE has been the team to allocate waves to him when he's put in that position. So we've seen WE behind, hell, even farther behind before. They can find their way back. It's going to be a little bit difficult. And they're going to be relying on Azir to kind of have that wave clear.
I mean, they are very good at absorbing pressure. I will say that one of the weaknesses when behind is Mystic almost goes too far to try and find those minion waves. We'll see him go to a side lane, and he'll just sit there for like probably 3 minutes to the point where teams will punish him.
Yeah, that's why it's going to hurt when you press tab and realize the enemy team has Ryze. So they just have, and Tahm Kench, wait a second. Ryze and Tahm Kench send the entire enemy team to basically take you out. A hit squad, I suppose. So yeah, extending out and taking minion waves on side lanes might not be the best idea here. You kind of need a few bodyguards to help you out in doing just that.
Yeah, unfortunately, he doesn't really have anyone. He has no getaway drivers. If he had a Ryze on his team, if he at least like, get me out of here. At least if he could take teleport maybe, but he of course went towards Fleet Footwork, so he doesn't even have the teleport to get out. Like, if he goes there, he is literally by himself. There is no one to save Mystic if he goes too far and farms.
Yeah, so the only thing they really can look towards is just the fact that Azir, wave clear, Sejuani, maybe pick potential, and just the fact that you can look to just work around her passive, kind of kite them down. Taric as well as ulti, and they just have to sit around their towers. It's a boring game, but it's definitely calling out EDG to try and fight them.
As much as we talked about WE, and this is like the aggression that we've seen from them so far in the split, but this is one of those games that we're literally going to see like a Team WE back to last split kind of mentality. Because very much this is not the same fast push mentalities that we've seen from them. You know, they had this core that was like Gangplank. We saw the Caitlyn and the Galio come out from them. A lot of that was banned away from them, but you know, that's what we saw so far in the split. There's very much an adaptation on kind of a spin on their world style, actually, that utilized the inspiration tree.
Yeah, it could have been, honestly, it really could have been a lot more of a fast push. If they were riding on that one kill they got in the bottom side of the map, and if Azir was still kind of topped up in the mid lane, wasn't getting chunked out in the trades with Ryze, I actually would have foresaw this composition be quite good for WE's pushing. Sure, it's kind of heavily in the sense that they have to focus towards getting static shift for Xayah, but with the feathers being thrown out the lane, especially with the early goal that she was able to accrue with the BF sword, and with Azir's mentality about playing around the wave, I actually would have been able to see them looking for a bottom lane dive at some point. But they're not going to be able to get to that point.
Yeah, especially after that first blood as well. I was so surprised that iBoy went down in the 2 versus 2. I was like, oh, maybe going to be able to capitalize here, but Condi was kind of pushed and pulled and dragged all over the map, and especially with that pressure down in mid lane, made it very difficult for him. And he started having to play reactively, and almost to the beat of Haro and how he's been aggressing on this Lee Sin, which, to be fair, is what he had to do in the early game. If you are the Lee Sin, if you get completely neutralized, then you know Sejuani is going to win out.
And here's a funny thing. I'm going to draw this right back to the earlier point you made about AD carries just kind of looking for too much. It happened in the Demacia Cup as well. It happened in the earlier parts of the split. Some of these AD carries, especially in the laning phase, try and do too much to cut off backs, right? Try and see if they can, they see early laning phase advantage, they want to push for more, especially if they notice the enemy team doesn't have that spellbook bottom lane.
Are you talking about iBoy here?
iBoy is now apparently the reason for this. It happened in, I keep hitting Demacia Cup as well because it was the same scenario where he kind of pushed too deep with Meiko. Sure, he thinks that he has the protection with the Tahm Kench right beside him, but that window is just not wide enough.
And there you can see we're getting back into game. It has all been resolved. We've gone back to 15 minutes and 18 seconds. So bot tower is just about to fall, but yeah, you can see no defense being rallied by WE. So we actually get to see it go down for a second time in one game.
Here we go. You can time it. Hit the turret.
And he's going to kill all of these minions. He's going to make this as sweet as possible because he knows it's going to go down. He's seen the future.
Boom.
650 gold.
There we go. So they netted at the same time as the Dragon as well. One of the biggest impact, of course, of being able to take down, or at least deny the wave as well, is just take a look at right now the long road Mystic has to take if he wants to push out the wave, right? So right now, that's a priority which he has to have a long push. And he's not even willing to do that because they want to defend mid. And he can't, he's not really feeling safe going there alone. So EDG don't have to worry about the bottom lane for a long time. They can just send members topside and get that turret, or inevitably send members mid and get the finishing touch on that turret as well.
Yeah, this tower is so low. Just needs one wave to be pushed up and xiye to be pushed back maybe by 2 members, and that tower is going to fall. So Dragon's already down, so in that sense that W don't have anything to contest on bot side now, but of course that's going to be a knock-on effect later as there will be more and more Dragons to take in the mid game, and with WE will not have access to them.
Yep, it's pretty crucial right then and there for xiye to be able to get blue buff, because he wants to be able to push just that, right? He wants to stop the constant pressure that Scout's going to be levying here. Scout, we saw how he's able to get that pressure last time around. He's probably just going to be rushing at xiye, especially knowing when his shield time is coming in with his passive, just so he can throw in a snare in his E and Q. That's what I'm looking towards the mid lane. He doesn't really care if he gets a tower shot or 2, as long as he's able to send xiye back. There we go. Yep,
Once
fun
again,
interaction.
Good stuff. Well, xiye is back down to half. He has to just kind of walk back. To be honest, at this point, he should just give up the turret because Haro is around the area. Condi is right there, though. So we might be able to survive for one more wave. 957 getting caught in the bottom side. Ornn comes in, knock up, knock back, and just stunned to eternity. Scout will come down, get the finishing blow.
Such a great game thus far by Scout. Just dominating the matchup, and he knows that he doesn't have to push out the mid lane. His team will do it for him. Helps out Ray and gets the kill.
This is starting to accelerate very quickly now from EDG. They've gotten 2 towers, a dragon, another kill in, what, a minute, 2 minutes right now from when we had that chrono break. So EDG are taking so much now in terms of this game. We'll see if they can start snowballing it now against WE, because this is the hard part when you're playing into WE's defense, is actually can you take more? Because they're so good at just stalling you out at every step of the way.
Yep. EDG's game plan is just denying what WE has access to. Mystic found the time to be able to accrue that wave just because EDG was taking both the tower and the dragon. So off that alone, yeah, Mystic won't be able to get that anymore because now he's faced with iBoy and Meiko in the matchup. Sure, they're basic now, but EDG are probably going to be looking to send the Armada back towards the only outer turret for WE.
957 will get a nice juicy minion wave though, because this will continue to push in the bottom side. So at least the Gnar will be able to farm up here from 957. Does mean that Ray is now kind of unleashed and unlocked to move into different lanes here. Start to get this one going. And actually, he's going to start with the blue buff, so he's going to become the second jungler for Haro, who's able to keep the pressure down on the top side of the map.
Man knows how to do with his time right now. Spending the time helping out Ryze, who's already doing so well in his matchup. He's not going to meet that wave just yet right now because the Black Cleaver was completed by 957. So right now, he knows how to basically bide his time.
Yeah, be useful on the map, because that's one of the difficult times as a top laner where the tower goes down and you're just kind of wandering about the map. The bot lane goes to top lane, so they have easy access to the wave. You don't really have anything to do. You just have to wait for the top lane to bounce the minion wave.
Yeah, and sometimes if the team is setting up for a top lane play, you need to have access there where you don't necessarily want to use your TP, so it's then you don't need to be bottom lane. Actually move towards the mid lane so you can keep the wave pushed mid while having access to a roam top lane.
Condi looking for a potential engage on top side, though. The buddy system, iBoy and Meiko on Tahm, Kench and Kalista, quite difficult to lock down, and Herald has now just been picked up by Haro. So the next play is over to EDG, trying to kite back as Mystic is going front to back here. Taking a lot of damage in return as the Ren comes through. Ben does arrive back into the top lane, and Condi spends so much time, honestly, around these lanes, either in lane or just buzzing around it. So it's giving Haro the chance to move into the jungle, place down vision, allow his team to look for these plays.
Deeper and deeper. Oh, here we
However,
go.
now he's a bit too deep, and he's very much been taken out. There's a response from Meiko and iBoy, but it is too late. Teleport being cancelled as well by Ray in the bottom side of the map. So the next play going to take a little bit while. Need to wait for Haro to get back onto the map.
Yeah, see those small windows. Haro's not kind of used to a team just completely right on top of him, thinking his waves or at least his teams can be there for him. But look in that scenario, his AD carry, his dual lane gets top lane and can rotate with him. But why is he doing this alone when you should know that xiye is definitely looking for that kind of play?
And that is one of the problems, because you cannot just take WE lightly. They will look at every opportunity. Like, if you give them an inch, they will take a mile. That is one of the problems when you play against WE. You have to play perfect to keep them falling back and falling back. And it always feels, when you're playing into WE, when you watch a WE game, they just need one team fight. If they manage to stall long enough, they'll have those carries. They always have at least one person who's scaling. And if they manage to get big, if they manage to run down a team fight, then the game will come back.
Yeah, and they can recognize what they can and cannot do. xiye recognizes that he can't take the mid lane matchup and that he's going to get pushed into his own tower. He just needs to protect that control wards that is right beside that one in the blue side jungle and right beside the mid lane. He can do that from where he is currently. So if you're just going to be walking in alone, and he knows that you're alone because your dual lanes top side, your Ryze is still clearing out mid lane, he's going to take that opportunity.
Well, this is a little bit better because now the team is actually moving into the jungle with Haro, so is now able to clear out these wards much more safely. Dragon will be spawning in 20 seconds from now, so we'll see if EDG actually move their attention over there. But right now, it looks like trying to find a potential pick onto one of these laners, because if they do, Herald's going to go down.
Yeah, look at the potential. Look at the position here from Ray. Has moved up from the bottom side of the map to mid. Now he has to go back bottom lane. He's thinking about it. There's either a team fight happening now, or he has to catch the wave in the bottom side of the map. They're going to go for this wave.
Just a little bit awkward because he doesn't have teleport now because of that earlier play. However, Herald has been placed down, so EDG looking for the siege on top side. She is going to see this and now start to react. Teleport being used by Scout, in fact, looking for the realm warp, more of a zoning realm warp than anything. Herald will manage to take this tower for them.
There we go, clean tower take. Especially with Ornn nearby. He's going to lose a wave bottom lane, but you know what? I'm going to take that cost just so I can help my team back him up. Because if WE takes a team fight, I'm just right there. EDG will win. I don't know about that one, Scout.
Yeah, EDG flirting with the idea of going for Baron right here, but with no ultimate on Scout. A little bit scary. Ray will knock back the Ram once more. Just comes underneath Mystic right there, but Meiko gets a nice double knockback onto them. Meanwhile, ultimate coming down from the Taric, buying a bit of time, but someone is going to be the sacrificial lamb, and unfortunately it will be Mystic. 1 kill over to EDG.
Yeah, Mystic dodged out a lot using his own ulti, but of course Tahm Kench spawned himself right underneath him with Kalista throwing it over. So that's all you needed to be able to catch out the AD carry. Now, you don't have a major damage source here. WE is going to try anyways.
957 just kind of poking in right now. Baron's down to half. Haro is low, however. Condi stepping up. He is a big, beefy tank, but he just needs to get into the pit because it's being bursted down. And Kalista has the Ren coming in. Now chasing down the rest of the team. 957 looking for the disengage. Condi has been licked up, but he should be able to crawl away here on the back of Bristle. But that is the Baron going down for EDG off the back of that pick for Mystic.
And just look at that. Look how desperate WE were in that scenario. They knew that they didn't have an AD carry for it. And they knew that Kalista Ren was all on top of Baron. That is such a low percentage play of you trying to steal it. You should essentially just be clearing waves adjacently. You still have Azir, but they thought, even though they probably didn't believe that they could steal it, that if there's that one opportunity, they could look for it.
There was a chance, there was an opportunity, but it was taken away by EDG. And so far, just playing very well with the pressure. It's just play after play and opening up opportunities for themselves instead of waiting for them to come for them. Being proactive here is what's allowing EDG to go from play to play. Getting a pick, going into the jungle, actually doing it smart this time. The only speed bump that they've had was Haro going in by himself, but that was instantly rectified. The next play was everybody going into the jungle, then finding a pick.
Yeah, you know what? Newer teams, when you get to that point in the game, you're trying to break inner tower top and inner tower mid lane. It's usually the difficult time because you actually have to utilize multiple control wards and just, of course, positioning yourself mid, top, on whichever wave is about to crash. So a lot of it just comes down to perfect communication to whoever's kind of levying that wave. So I liked how they utilized it, even if it meant, of course, it was just Rift Herald having the killing blow.
EDG moving the pressure into bot side now with this minion wave coming in, but most of it's actually been removed already by Mystic. They do have a couple more minions left, just get a bit of damage down. iBoy's able to step up and poke away as there is a potential flank coming in from Haro. He's just pressuring to allow this AD carry to step up. Ray, however, into this mid lane now, does have the teleport.
Yeah, exactly. This is a lot of time that EDG have available to themselves. And now Ray is creating a second option, now pushing into this mid lane inner tower. So if it doesn't work out bottom lane for EDG, they have a mid lane that they can go to.
Yeah, tower's going to crumble. If they stuck around, then Ray was definitely going to come in for the flank there. He moved back towards the mid lane. Mega Gnar's up, so Ray gets the chance to push into this tower relatively unmolested as the bot lane comes in. That's the teleport coming out there. Lick does land onto Ben, but he's already back to base. Didn't use the ultimate. So we will have that for a fight if it does erupt. And EDG able to react to this mid lane now. In comes the Ornn. Gets knocked up onto 2. Jungle and AD carry, but it buys enough time for iBoy to potentially take out this tower. I thought it was going to be enough, but this cannon minion is going to finish it off.
There we go. I mean, it's getting really difficult for WE at this point in the game. 25 minutes, and look how far they are in terms of gold value. 8K gold lead for EDG, and it's only getting better.
It's really been well played by EDG so far in this game. As we said, just opening up these opportunities for themselves now, get to go back to base and spend the fruits of their labor, as there will be a lot of items picked up for themselves. Kalista comes in with 3.5 items and has the Quicksilver Sash there, so it'll be very difficult to lock it down, even if you do get Sejuani on top of her.
Let's take a look at that, actually. Mystic has gone towards the rapid fire cannon instead of the static shiv. Not going towards the extra wave clear. Believes that xiye has that covered. In fact, has the extra range so he can kind of get an extra feather across for free. So for just to get the snare. maybe in a team fight. So he's focused on the fight rather than the wave.
Very much the case. Scout has got the Beastful Mask, he's got the completed Cyrus Embrace, and he has the Zhonya's Hourglass. Of course, the main staple of current Ryze play. He's 2-1-3 currently in this game, but honestly, EDG just look incredibly big. They have no more inner turrets to go for, though, so the next challenge is really to try and crack open this base. Otherwise, it's going to be waiting around, twiddling their thumbs, waiting for Inferno Dragon to come up.
And it's usually a pretty poor time for teams, just because that just means now going for these towers, these inhib towers. Oh, maybe sending in an extra wave or two.
Yeah, just brought in another half a wave. Good knock up there by Ornn, buying some time, chipping away the tower, takes it down to half. And that's really good from EDG, because now they can just rinse and repeat.
Yeah, good value, good value. They've kind of dished out the bottom lane wave entirely, especially with how they're able to utilize both mid and top wave. Sure, it used Scout's ultimate, but it's already 25% done. It's such a low ratio because of the CDR that he's able to accrue for himself. So at this point in time, they can just kind of keep repeating that. Or if they're lucky enough, WE missteps once with the control wards that they have in their own blue side jungle, EDG can just find themselves a new mid lane tower if they threaten top lane.
Ray just signaling he's going down to the bot side because that one is pushing away from EDG currently, or actually towards them rather. So Ray is just going to push this one in, allow another pressure point for them as they continue the 1-3-1 here. Scout moving to the top side. I'm pretty much just waiting for those ultimates to come back off cooldown. Ray has his own ultimate. We are now waiting on Scout.
Yeah, it's right now pretty much 75%. Just about to come back up. You already saw the attempt that they made the last time around. That took down half HP. That should just be the tower if that's the play once again.
Yeah, I mean, it's goading WE into a fight essentially at this point, right, Raz? Because WE, if they don't respond, then they just lose an inhib. If they do respond, then it creates a fight in EDG. If they feel confident enough, they'll just take it.
Ooh. Even putting in an extra control ward here just so they can see if they can get a kick, any kind of play maybe, on the support of WE. All right, here we go.
Once again, the Ryze ultimate comes in. The Ornn Horn, double knockup once more. Mystic actually using his ultimate very early into the fight to not get hit by that one. Condi, he's down to below third. But the Taric ultimate does save his life, buys a bit of time for them. But these are multiple big ultimates off cooldown now, specifically Mystic and Benz.
Yeah, even Scout using his own ulti just to kind of zone Mystic off. The AD carry doesn't feel comfortable walking in. And you know what? That's a large part of your damage as WE. You don't want to be walking in for a fight for.
And Ornn's ultimate is almost back off cooldown. That is actually absurd, honestly. Sejuani stepping up right now, does get the stun off, but Meiko with the save onto iBoy, buying a bit of time, and that's another 30 seconds at least because we need to wait for another minion wave to come in. So WE have actually managed to save their base here.
It's kind of what you would expect from WE. Doing so much to just extend the game seconds in advance, knowing that each minion wave that dies, they can hold on for a little longer. Long enough, honestly, for the next objectives to be up. One dragon coming up, Baron coming up, the same time. Could be a great opportunity for WE to kind of look to either trade or contest for the Baron.
This is really impressive. Many other teams would crumble under that pressure from EDG, able to push into the mid lane. But the fact that WE were able to hold them on that second push means that Baron's up, as you said. Like, it gives another opportunity for them to push out and potentially find a steal, potentially find a fight, and open ground.
And you know what? Condi had a lot of value in basically the Warmogs that he had. Even though he got chunked out from the first time round, when EDG based, he didn't. He just cleared out the wards, set the pace of the battle for EDG. Because if it's going to be around Baron, they're going to have to reset the control wars that they had initially. So really smart from him. He didn't need to base until now. Now he's going to come back onto the map, and they might have something to say about this Baron. In fact, they're not even looking for it. Pinging on towards Dragon.
Wow, yeah, they're actually going straight towards the Baron. It's almost like they're giving up Baron at this point, saying that we can actually hold them at the front door as long as we have a bit more damage coming in from the Inferno Dragon. Maybe we can beat them in terms of a fight. And saying that actually confident enough to go late game and say we can beat you if we have more damage on this side. And I believe that was the last dragon we're going to see aside from the Elder Dragon now. So that was their last chance.
At this point, they just need gold. Right now, Mystic has enough, I would believe, for the Infinity Edge. He really wants to be able to get just that. And then xiye looks like he's looking to build towards the Rabadon's Death Cap. Those are pretty key items for his team. Be able to kind of contest EDG in team fights. They need to be able to do that soon because Baron being picked up by EDG, they want to end the game now.
Such an interesting play from WE. Because it will mean that, yes, there's instant pressure now, but if EDG don't finish, then maybe down the line, WE are able to cash in the play that they just made. The fact that if they maybe contest the Baron, perhaps they lose the fight and they lose the game, but not going to happen now because they will concede. They'll continue to concede, try and cut off the bleeding.
And they can't concede this. Look at the wave at the top side of the map. EDG wants to go for a second inhibitor with the Baron butt that they have now.
At some point, they will have to draw the line, but We'll see what that point is. Ray, again with the ultimate, trying to drive pressure. Right now, iBoy taking a lot of damage. Need Meiko to come in there with the save. He runs back. 957 looking for potential to come in there with the Gnar ultimate. But EDG have been routed.
Yeah, way too many slows from EDG. Like, so WE as a team cannot chase him down. iBoy is able to heal up back to full.
This really is WE at its finest, buying time, preventing pressure, absorbing pressure.
He's in.
It's actually Scout into the backside. He's completely by himself. No one able to punish him, however. But now he's just kind of caught in between that and an Azir turret.
Who put an Azir turret here? Let's kick us down.
There's not meant to be a tower here. There we go, finish that one off. Now he's got a much cleaner way into the base.
Now this is when it starts to hurt. They need to be able to take down this wave, but look how many people they're using for that. Sure, they're going to be here on time for this top lane wave, but man, 957 paid a lot of hurt for that.
So much damage, yeah, coming out from iBoy. He might have to go back to base in between waves, but now is not the time. Ornn ultimate once again. He'll flash in for this one. Double knockup onto the carries. Mystic, he's staying at the front. He's got a bit of time with the Taric ultimate. Fate's Call comes in, saves the life from Meiko. He's at the front lines once more, and 957, he's very deep. Scout off to the side. He's trying to put the damage onto the carries, and Haro, he's going to fall here. EDG, they've maybe bitten off more than he can chew, but iBoy, he's looking for blood. He tastes it right now. Ultimate coming in from Mystic, trying to zone him away. Chasing down Scout into the mid lane.
Here comes another wave, though. EDG feel confident enough to stand their ground.
EDG pushing into this town now. They've lost Haro, but they still have healthy carries on the side of their team. They're going to find themselves a second inhibitor. Be happy with this one and back away.
That was an interesting play from Haro. Overall, to see if they can get for a kick. Try and get a proper fight onto 957. They did a great job in cutting back 957. He was trying his hardest to just kind of get a play for his team, to get a Mega Gnar, just kind of scurry them into a wall. He was not given that play, and it's only kind of gifted because Haro thought he can get a kick off them.
So Haro does end up dying, but at the end of the day, EDG managed to pick up the objective they came for. They got the inhibitor, they got the tower, and it really was based off the pressure as well that Scout was able to put down in the mid lane, buffing up the super mini wave that was coming in, made multiple members have to address it, and he's poking off to the side as well. So the carriers, they have to look at two directions because there's constant threats coming at them.
And they have all of their outer turrets still available. If you're EDG, you're super comfortable knowing that there's no way that you don't have control of the wave. They're always at the very least at the midpoint of the map, and then you can just kind of round them up and move towards the next objective. It's just that easy. It doesn't cost that much time. They're already on to the next one.
EDG moving towards the bottom side of the map once again, just going through the motions, going through the steps, clearing out the wards, pushing them in, trying to strangle WE out of this game.
Here's pretty key, though. EDG have done a great job of clearing out wards. There's one crucial ward that is right now placed in the lane on the bottom side of the map. A control ward that has access for 957. You can see he still has access to his rage bar. He can get that one ulti, that one opening into the backside of EDG that can extend the game.
Scout moving minions towards the bot side of the map. I believe he was trying to get the super minion in there, but unfortunately just kind of waddled on out. EDG is going to push in with this wave regardless, but without the Baron buff, makes it very difficult. Mystic is able to clear this minion wave quite effectively, alongside Condi just standing in front with this Warmogs.
Yeah, they still have a lot of waves that are going to be crashing into their towers right here. WE top lane wave in about 10 seconds needs to be addressed.
That's a big wave, in fact. Yeah, someone's going to have to go. It will be 957 and xiye actually moving towards this one. That's a double super minion wave.
If you send two people, you usually just lose out in that tower entirely. But look how far out that wave is in the bottom side of the map. That's a pretty large window for WE to defend this.
Ooh, Condi and 957, the ones to protect.
Okay, that's...
I feel like we need one of the carries who has damage right here, because that's going to take them way too long. Minion wave now trailing into this.
It's going to have to be the fight for WE.
Yeah, Ornn ultimate by Ray once more. Doesn't commit to it, just trying to chip away at this tower. Playing it very safe, very slow against WE. But the towers are starting to crumble in the mid lane. Those super minions were not addressed by a carry. And eventually they're going to start mounting up. 957 coming towards it now, but Mystic and xiye are still staying at the front lines.
Yeah, here's the thing right now. EDG are just comfortable sticking towards the bottom side of the map for this one tower. 957, the rest of the team, they're going to stick around for this turret. If they try for this, they're going to lose another Nexus turret.
Scout's now in the mid lane. He's pushing up against them in the bottom side. Another minion wave comes in.
You're going to have to do something about this, WE.
Yeah, Scout was literally just finishing the game right now, so Mystic, xiye, Ben move over, but this is very much a knee-jerk reaction. Tower's being chipped away from every single time. Even without the minions, iBoy is able to step up.
They're being ripped apart.
They're pretty much just wasting time as well, because they're waiting for these monster objectives. They have multiple things to move towards. Ray pops the ultimate once again, chipping away at this tower. And this is just so well played by EDG.
Yeah, they're going to lose another inhibitor, and that's going to be so much time that they have to try and draw back once again. They have to stop Scout. You can't stop him. He's already taken it.
It's already gone, and he's going to ult on out with the classic combo. See you later.
With such a sick post, too. Got that last auto out, and he's out.
Striker pose, move back towards the mid lane, and it's going to be an Elder Dragon moving towards EDG. Baron's going to be spawning in 40 seconds, and they will have the buff for that buff. So they will be able to move towards that. They'll have the combat advantage, and this put in such a difficult situation, a skewer scenario for WE, because if they move towards the Baron, then they'll probably lose the fight. If they stay at base, they have 2 massive buffs moving towards them on the next fight.
Still, best case scenario, because EDG have based, meaning that they can actually push out these waves and be ready for the next one, right? Losing mid lane inhibitor, sure, it's bad, but they can at least protect that for a little bit while longer. The most important inhibitor to be able to have up and maintain is that top lane inhib. So right now, look at where that top lane wave is. They need to send Gnar up there, push that out all the way up, so they at least have way more time to be able to deal with EDG's pressure.
Baron's about to spawn. I wouldn't be surprised if they just start it immediately, start getting those Ren stacks into it, make it difficult for the potential steal to come out, even if it does come in. But Condi going back to base, and WE have to concede this one, and at some point draw the line, try and go for the fight. But EDG with Baron, with Elder buff, it's going to be real tough.
Yeah, you think that'd just be it for them, really. The fact that they have it all, and they're already sending down the pings towards the Nexus turret.
1 Nexus turret remaining. Bottom tower up. Multiple pings coming in from EDG, communicating what they mean to do in the next couple minutes here.
Mystic actually pushed that out entirely on the bottom side, so they're not going to be hoping for the wave. They might just try and take it down with just Scout alone.
He's chipping away at it. He's got the shield as well, so he's not going to take too much of beating from this tower, but gradually knocking it over. The rest of WE have to address the rest of the waves as well, because as soon as they move, then EDG will push in.
And this is the line right here, this top lane inhib. They need to keep it up. So 957's trying his hardest to push EDG away. This inhibitor must not go down.
The Elder Dragon buff has about a third left, so it will be a good fight worth EDG. Look for it right now. Actually rotating using the Ryze ultimate to drag 3 down, and that's instantly going to fall. WE, do they go for the engage? 957's looking for it, but the disengage ram out from Ray. Lands onto 3. Scout moving forwards, looking towards Condi right now. Pops the goggles, stone play. Ray, he's right in the middle, the midst of the team right now. He's going to actually fall to xiye. He does so much damage at this point in the game. iBoy's going to save Meiko, but now he has to kite back. Ben on the offensive alongside Condi. 957's low, but Mystic, he's able to run this one front to back.
But they have to run back to their Nexus turret. It's getting a lot of hits, but still a major win for WE. Really well done to be able to push EDG off.
These carries now from WE are getting so gigantic. Azir and Xayah in the late game, regardless of the Baron buff, regardless of the Elder Dragon buff, they are still incredibly strong. And that earlier gambit that they made, Raz, where they pushed towards the Inferno Dragon, helping towards this cause.
Yeah, here's the thing about the composition of EDG. Really just a mid-range composition, and that's going to hurt them. The fact that iBoy, you got a lot of hurt on him, you got a lot of hits to the head. That's mostly because of the fact that he's a Kalista. You can throw in his Meiko over there and see if they can start the fight. But if it's not a fight that they're willing to take, then he will get chased down. There's not much damage that he can output unless if it's on Condi, a tank that really can't do too much to him if there's no follow-up. So real big worry about how EDG are going to play these fights. The carries are not willing to walk up with the massive range that Azir has.
I don't know if I can be so bold as to say the fact that W may have actually just outscaled EDG. They need to find creative fights now, but 957 caught in the bottom side. He is gone. This is so big.
That's pretty creative, I was going to say. Like, honestly, 957 was not even that far out of his base, and he gets chased down.
Yeah, he was basically on the front lawn. He was just like maybe stepped out a couple inches past the front of the base, and that's too far out. EDG find that small opportunity. And now they have 40 seconds to play with here, where honestly I'd say that W might have gotten to the point where they've outscaled in terms of a 5v5 fight. It's not going to be the same as a 4v5.
It's the thing about the composition that EDG have. At least they have the ability to rotate so quickly off of Tahm, Kench, and the Ryze ulti.
Can they exploit this though? iBoy took a lot of damage coming in from xiye. This late game Azir is still a threat that they need to deal with, and it looks like EDG unable to finish on this push, unable to finish on these 20 seconds they had from Gnar.
Yeah, they're picking up every wave. Literally, the pings are coming down in each wave that they want to work with. They're not confident about the team fight that they're going to be going up against Xayah with full crit right now, going up against xiye. Azir, not full build right now, but really threatening with the rabbit on his death cap. So they want the help of the minion waves.
It's going to be a full 5-on-5, but WE, are they better equipped? In comes the Taric ultimate. but that is completely zoned away from. Trading Ryze ultimate for Ben's is definitely a good trade for EDG.
And Condi, even though he took so much damage, gets healed by Ben, and of course healed by, oh wait a second.
Getting caught out by Scout on the bottom side of the map. Haro into the fight. He's going to go into his Zhonya's, his quick time to stay alive. Ray will try and kite back here. Condi very low, but he's not going to be rendered out. Look at the front. Meiko's going to be saved by iBoy, but once again, EDG just unable to crack WE.
Yeah, the wave got dissipated, so WE was able to blow the wave away and look towards their opposition. EDG will not be able to take the fight. Meiko is way too low. They need these waves, and goddamn you, Azir. Take down that tower.
They've rebuilt the tower. They've got 2 Nexus turrets once more, but these are double supers coming in, flooding into the base, into the bot side. EDG, this is their 6th member to try and win this fight.
Let's
Again,
go.
Ryze ultimate comes in. Down goes Ben. It's a 4 versus 4. Haro also fell in that engagement. Scout looking for the flank on the bottom side, but he's being zoned away by both tanks. Mystic and xiye, it's all eyes on them as they come in with Azir, chasing down Ray, and even the tank is not looking that tanky at this stage in the game.
Look at Mystic just fighting now.
Scout being chased down. Mystic uses his ultimate. That's going to be key, but EDG had 2 wounded to keep going.
Mystic is confident. Look at him. Took so much HP off of iBoy. iBoy wanted none of that. Didn't want to blow his splash because he didn't want to take the fight. And so he walks up to the Ryze. And this is the threat. Right now, Mystic has the items to stand his ground and take every fight that's coming up against him. And so I really like Scout's positioning to kind of flesh him out. It didn't work.
Mystic just finishes 6 items as well. Azir has a little bit more room to grow. They still haven't reached their complete capacity and how much damage they can deal, and even this is seeming too much for EDG. This is such an interesting situation to find ourselves, Raz. Triple inhibs down, but WE, I definitely can't say they're out of this game yet.
Yeah, I've seen this kind of game before. It was EDG versus Newbie. I believe it was last year or the year before.
That's a long time
I would
ago.
say a year before. That was actually 2 years before. That was when they had Deft on the team. And EDG didn't have 3 inhibitors, but they had, 3 items Sivir. Sivir just kept getting going items. Sivir was just able to constantly wave clear and take the fights, and EDG ended up winning that game. Meiko's probably thinking about that one. He doesn't want to find himself in a position where they lose a game where they've been winning for so long. Snowballing for so long, just because they lose a team fight versus Azir and Xayah.
And these are what Goliath games are made out of. This is what we saw in the LCK not so long ago when we saw that 90-minute game, is what a team just simply can't finish, and it comes down to honestly just a single pick or even a team fight. It can just infinitely keep on going. If one team isn't able to finish, who has the advantage?
Yeah, I'd say this is the one that's a little bit higher quality, just because EDG recognize that they can't take the fight, so they're just using minion waves to take down the turrets. A smart decision, I'd say.
True. Azir with triple supers coming in, able to clear it out. Again, the Ornn ultimate comes in. Managed to find one target though. iBoy's down! EDG, they have to run out of this base. Meiko is also going to get shredded out from xiye.
iBoy was just in range for 957's Mega Gnar, and that's all you need to win the fight. Losing both your support and AD carry, that was the one push EDG wanted, just to get the one auto attack on the Nexus tower, and they couldn't even get that.
Absolutely unreal. That tower's still alive somehow. And Baron is now up.
That's the big one. Baron is up. Right now, Scout's trying to play hero. He wants to keep WE defending, because if he doesn't keep this pressure up, WE could easily just clear out the wave and go towards Baron. That's the last thing he wants them to do.
It just takes 2 members from WE to take it. They just need Xayah. They just need Condi. All they need is xiye. Haro, he's over the wall. There is no Kalista rend. Haro, he has been spotted now.
He's been going for a few steals, Haro. He's been getting in a few of them. You don't want him to even be in the pit.
He jumps over the wall, 2,000 HP. They turn on to Haro to get the stun down. He's going to fall, but he's down into his Guardian Angel. This is very low, but it's smited away. In by Condi. Raised into the fight. Scout turns up as well, but Mystic is well protected. Ben able to push into the back, and he takes down Scout. Mystic, he's still kiting back. They can't reach him. And iBoy, he saves the life for Meiko, but his team is dead.
All of these outer turrets that EDG have available to them might not be available to them much longer. WE with Baron, with 2 kills, 53-second death timer on Ray and Scout. Right now, EDG are on the defense.
WE with the Baron, they have over 3 minutes now where they can confidently push out here, get more vision into their jungle, regain control over the map. Isn't this just classic WE? The fact they've managed to hold on and with a late game scaling composition. This is absurd.
How much gold are they about to get here, Pulse?
So much. I mean, there's basically all of this is standing gold. The fact that no outer turrets have gone down, but we're at the point where almost everyone is full build anyway from WE.
That's one. That's two. You better walk up to the third one.
Towers drop so fast this late into the game. Literally push from outer turret to inhibitor. And they should be able to pick up the inhibitor itself right now. Ray and Scout now just respawning. So WE will take this and back away.
Yeah, Chinese New Year's is coming up soon, but it seems like WE are already celebrating, already bringing the carnival straight through that mid lane. That was ridiculous. That's so much, just getting it from so little. 46 minutes into the game, WE wants to take any fight possible. They still have to be aware of the fact that Scout has his own ulti. They just want to try and end the game somehow.
Haro looking for the steal. He's on the bot side of the dragon right now.
He has to
he
steal
needs to
this
try
one?
and get in range. It's down to 4,000 HP. In comes EDG as well to try and assist, but he's too far away. Lands the kick onto Azir, however, fantastic flank. Buy some time. That's a big Taric ultimate though. Buying time for Mystic to come in here. Massive ultimate in from 957. Scout's going to get caught out, but Meiko with the save. iBoy not caught in the middle of the fight. He's going to get completely deleted. And Ray, he has to back away now because xiye, Mystic, the carriers of WE will destroy EDG.
They're keeping through.
They're moving into the mid lane. 957, he smells blood. They're looking for the finish.
Oh my God. This game was in EDG's hands for 30, 40 minutes. And it was just the multiple misplays trying to take down the Nexus turret that just brings it in WE's favor.
Oh my God, they played it so well, but WE, they pull the comeback of the split in the LPL, and they take down the Nexus.
This is just game one. Literally the first game in a best of 3, and WE somehow takes the game. All right.
Insanity. The crowd is erupting right now as well. What an ending to that game, but WE, they hold on and hold on and hold on for 20 minutes in this one.
What the hell, man? Actually.
What a demoralizing loss as well. And as you were saying, EDG having flashbacks to Newbie 2 years ago. That's in the back of their minds. Maker's probably only the only soldier who was there for that one. He's just getting flashbacks.
About that. I mean, it really was just a difference of one auto attack, wasn't it? Because it was just that one auto attack they wanted to be able to place on that Nexus turret.
Yep.
iBoy walked up for it. I mean, that's reasonable because you saw the Ornn ultimate come through. They wanted to be able to get that one auto attack because they don't want to run scared for that long. They already saw that the power spikes were being hit by WE. So they just wanted to get it. And then the one key sweep from 957 was all they really needed to be able to look for Baron. So that was really strong play from them to be able to hold on with what looks like an impossible snowball.
I mean, you pointed out yourself, Raz, the fact that it was very much a mid-range composition coming in from EDG, and that's going to be a problem later on as you get to the game. It's like if you want to poke down those towers, especially when you get so close to that Nexus, it's going to be tough. But WE always able to identify and punish that one as well. We are going to send it over to the analysts, though, to take a look at just that game one from WE and EDG.
Thank you so much, guys. And I don't know if they should actually send it back to us or if they should just keep it for a little bit longer because EDG, it seemed like they had control of the game for so long only to be unable to break the turtle shell and crack into the nexus of WE.
Yeah, that was the 300 moment. We have to go all the way back, reset the clock. Because we normally don't have super long games like that in the LPL. Our average game time has been 10 minutes less than the global average.
33 minutes actually for now.
Exactly. So I actually think this might actually be the longest game of the LPL this split. We will double check that. But let's start with the draft phase because that's where things really started to go, I say wrong for EDG, even though it was going so right. It's just the nature of their composition. When you have a Kalista, there is a time limit on how much damage you're going to do effectively.
The first thing we have to talk about the draft phase is the AD carries coming in. Now, iBoy really knows what champion he wants. He wants that strong mid game, that ability to catch people out, locks in that Kalista. I was very unsure about the Xayah pick coming out from Mystic, however, because this is traditionally seen as one of the worst matchups that you can go into the Kalista. You're never going to hit that Blade Caller, and they're actually offering a losing lane into a Kalista and Ryze composition,
Now,
which
that
is really weird.
Mystic is one of the best Xayahs in the world, if not the best himself.
And you can kind of see the idea that Team W, because I agree with Clement, it was always going to be a losing lane, but if you look at EDG's composition, it's a very run-at-you comp. They've got an Ornn, they have a Lee Sin, Kalista wants to jump forward, and anytime you're running into Xayah, we just saw it there in that 40-minute hold, that's where she thrives. So Team WE, going with, what, 3 losing lanes, but playing for the 5v5, and surprisingly, it worked out for them.
Yeah, that being said, it was still pretty rough in that early game. EDG definitely turned the pressure onto the bottom lane, which is, I think, what we expected, knowing it is, after all, iBoy and Meiko.
And WE were frankly just purely gifted something here. The fact that they catch iBoy unawares that they're able to pick up a kill, and then Xayah comes back into the lane with the BF sword, that shouldn't happen. But classic EDG, and the real breaker here, it wasn't just the iBoy Meiko 2v2, the Kalista versus Xayah, it was also the Ryze versus Azir. Ryze is going to have the priority there. We saw it happen around level 7, level 8 right there, and he starts to get the earlier roam using the Realm Ward because Azir just cannot compete with him.
Beautiful flash right out there. And EDG with 2 globals are really able to set up that bot lane for success. They take the bot lane very early. Meiko with his Tahm, Kench going for another roam, catching Mystic out again. The game looked really poor for WE because they lost that mid tower so fast. And the only winning matchup they had was the Gnar. Wasn't able to affect the map at all because of all the mid lane towers and the bot lane towers going away. He had nowhere to split push. Everything was looking so good for EDG. 0 and 11 in towers and 23-minute Baron.
Yeah, and they had all towers down by 25 minutes. So 23-minute Baron, 17-minute mid tower, and then 25 minutes. Only the inhibs are standing for Team WE.
And from there, it was an easy transition towards the Baron, which they then used to break the base. But that being said, they never broke the spirit of Team WE. They never could break the dream of the late game Xayah Azir team fight.
And this was so well played from both sides because WE knew that they could defend with the Taric ultimate. And also EDG, they were going in when they didn't have the Taric ultimate, but they never gave the full engage so WE could come back in the game with a complete team fight wipe. However, you have to question, did they go play just a little bit too cautiously and never really close the deal?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of that does go back to Scout. While I do credit Scout very heavily for the control of the mid game, dominance of the early game, also in some of those late game team fights, you know, he was prioritizing his ultimate, trying to move minions around. They were trying to play the map as opposed to playing the team fight. Makes sense, it's Xayah and Azir, but Scout was also sometimes standing on the wrong side of the fight, letting Azir do free damage, letting Xayah get free damage down, because he was just standing away from his AD carry.
And speaking of those mistakes, it was those late game opportunities that gave WE a chance to get back in that window, transitioning it into a Baron. A huge attempted hero play from Haro, but he doesn't pull it off.
Literally the only win condition in the world for WE at this point, and I cannot believe they actually got it.
And EDG funnels their members in to all have them killed at this point. WE, technically, they need 2 team full wipes. They have no towers down at that point. But EDG try to go for the Baron hero play, seal the deal, and it actually ends up costing them because they lose their mid inhib. A secondary team fight coming in, Haro not being able to get that Elder Drake leads into a winning team fight for WE.
And this becomes a conversation that we have to have about Team EDG, is that you said yourself, Frost, while we were watching the game, perhaps they could be getting a little impatient. They used 3 Barons, and Elder Dragon. They tried and tried and tried to break the base, but in the end, it was their patience that broke, and WE were able to use that to get back in.
To me, this kind of feels almost like an identity crisis. Team WE knew exactly what they wanted from the very beginning. This is going to be a late game 5v5. I don't think they knew that they would have stand at their base like hold the
That's
Nexus
a horrible
tower.
plan. To be honest, absolutely honest, it's a horrible plan to play that way.
I 100% agree. This has been my problem with WE from the beginning, but EDG couldn't decide, are we playing the map? Are we playing the 5v5? Are we going to go in? Are we looking for a steal? Are we just going to stand across from them? You could see Haro's on a completely different page. He's looking for the steal, but that puts him out of position. Like, Scout's standing on the wrong side of the team fight, and he doesn't have his ultimate to get into the backline because he's playing around with the minions. EDG just needed to commit to one plan.
Well, something WE knew that they could commit to was Mystic on Xayah. It's almost interchangeable at this point. He's going to take our man of the match. Xiye for that one. I've got that completely wrong. Xiye going 5-1 and 6. 73% kill participation, 44%. Huge play on that. I see the feathers, you just assume.
Exactly. It's a bird, same difference. I 100% agree. I think you would have to give it to the Azir, not only for the damage potential that this champion can output, but the fact that the only reason they were able to last this long is because Azir has so much control and infinite wave clear.
Second game, I hope that W does not go for the same composition because this was a horrible early start. It's about as bad as you could possibly go. If Scout played one realm more correctly or they went in slightly earlier, this was done from WE. So don't do it again.
Guys, I've got the perfect plan. We wait until 44 minutes, we stand in our Nexus Tower.
We get 0 objectives, and we just fight
we
back.
win the game.
Well, we'll have to see if they do commit to that strategy in game number 2 or if they try something else. We're going to go and take a quick break while we get that ready for you, but don't go anywhere.